Hello students. So from today onwards, we'll be starting our session on Merchant of Venice. Well, it's primarily focused on for the students of ICSE class 9th and 10th, but anybody who would like to study Merchant of Venice in a detailed way can watch my channel. So we all know that The Merchant of Venice is a famous drama written by the greatest playwright, dramatist and poet of all the time, William Shakespeare. The man who used too many thee, thy, thou in his texts. So, before giving a long introduction about William Shakespeare and the text, I will not be giving you an overview of the whole plot because I want you to keep guessing that what's going to happen next. And as you all know that since it is a drama written by William Shakespeare, if you would have studied his other dramas like Macbeth, Julius Caesar, Tempest, and many others, you must be knowing that William Shakespeare includes a long list of characters. So, if I'll mention all the characters at once, you might get confused that which was the character in which act, which scene, and which place. So, I'll start just with the Act 1, Scene 1, and 2. So, first of all, we will keep in mind the major characters of the play, which will come again and again. The first one is Antonio, second is Bassanio, Nerissa, Portia, Shylock, and many others. But in the first act, scene 1, only 3 characters come on the stage. So the text opens with Antonio, Salarino, and Solanio on the scene. These 3 are very good friends. Antonio, who is said to be the protagonist of the play. Protagonist, I would like to tell about that. The protagonist means the main character of the play or the one around which the whole story revolves. Antonio is feeling very depressed and he has no idea that why he is depressed. And he also adds one line at the end that if he is not able to find out the reason that why he is depressed, then he thinks that he does not understand himself well. So, after hearing these lines said by Antonio, his other 2 friends, Salarino and Solanio, they tried to guess the possible reasons for his depression and the sadness. So, Salarino starts stating the reasons. Salarino says that Antonio must be probably worried because all his ships are there at the sea. Means Antonio was a very famous merchant in Venice. So all his ships had been venturing into the sea. And Salarino thinks that it must be the ships which is causing him trouble. So after hearing Salarino and Antonio's statements, Solanio says that yes, it is true that if I would have been in the place of Antonio, I would just sit on the ground and toss the grass in the air in order to find out that in which direction the wind is blowing. Because my constant heart and soul is there on the sea where my ships have ventured. So if I would have been in the place of Antonio, then I would constantly look into the best ports everywhere where my ships would have been venturing into. On listening to this, Salarino says that I would get scared every time I would blow my sail because that would remind me of the strong winds that could wreck my ship into pieces. Then he compares the hourglass, the sand of the hourglass to the sandbars with which his ship could meet and then could destroy his ship into seconds. After that, he makes a third comparison where he finds himself going to the church and looking at the stones of which the church is made of. Those stones would remind him of that stones that would hit his ship and then within seconds all his spices and the silk would get dumped into the sea at any moment. And in one moment he would go bankrupt and in one moment he would go bankrupt. And who wouldn't be sad thinking about things like that? Now, he concludes that Antonio must be sad because his cargoes are at the sea. On listening to the conversations of Solanio and Salarino, Antonio says that it's not the cargoes or the ships which are at the sea which is causing him trouble because with the grace of God he has made himself financially strong enough that these things don't trouble him anymore. So on this, Solanio asks that whether it's love that is troubling you. Antonio denies this also. Solanio then says that neither love nor the ships are causing him trouble. Then he must be just in a bad mood. And says that humans are different. Some of them laugh at anything and everything, and some of them are so grouchy that they don't even smile when they hear something hysterically funny. At this moment, Bassanio, Lorenzo, and Graciano enter the scene. I will repeat, children, once again. We have heard about Antonio, Solanio, and Salarino in the beginning. Now, three more characters get introduced, and that is Bassanio, Lorenzo, and Graciano. So, after having a short conversation with Lorenzo and Graciano, Solanio and Salarino exit the scene, bidding farewell to Antonio. When Solanio depart, Antonio, Lorenzo, Graciano, and Bassanio are left on the scene. So, here Graciano notices that Antonio is unhappy and says that the merchant worries too much. On listening to this, Antonio says that he is nothing but a player on the stage and he is playing a sad part. On this playing part said by Antonio, Graciano delivers a long speech. He says that it is better on the stage of this world that he would play the part of a happy fool. He says that it is better that on the stage of this world he would play the part of a happy fool. He further says that he would like to overload his liver with wine than starving himself of having all the fun. He asks Antonio that why should a living man sit like a statue? Why he should get ulcers by being crabby all the time? And then why should he sleep when he is awake? Then he further adds up that men who are serious, their facial expressions are just like pond covered with scum. They are always silent and still, and they think they are wise and respectable. Then he says about wise men that when they talk, they think that everybody should be quiet. The only reason they are respected is because they don't speak anything much. Making fun of them, he says that if they open their mouth once, everybody would come to know that what fools they are. So, Graciano then, wrapping up his lecture, says that he would continue with it post-dinner. Then, Lorenzo says that Graciano doesn't even let him open his mouth once. Graciano, that making joke with Lorenzo, says that if he would continue to stay with him for next 2 years, Lorenzo would even forget his own voice. Bassanio jokes that Graciano has terribly little to say, claiming that his wise remarks are as elusive as 2 wheat hidden in 2 bushels of chaff. Graciano and Lorenzo depart. Now, only Antonio and Bassanio are left on the scene. Antonio then asks Bassanio about the girl he was talking about. Bassanio here, rather than talking about the girl, he tells him about the bad financial condition he is in, and he says that how his extravagant lifestyle has led him to bad debts. And out of all the money he owed, most of it he owes to Antonio. He feels very grateful towards Antonio because he had always been the one who had helped him in need. Antonio tells Bassanio to tell him about the plan, and he assures him to help him further even in the future. Now, Bassanio narrates him about the incident from his childhood. He tells him that when he was a school kid and if he had lost an arrow, he used to shoot another arrow in the same direction, watching it more carefully this time. Doing so, it would help him to find the first arrow as well. Saying this, Bassanio says that like a spoiled kid, he has lost all the money he owed to him. So he wanted him to lend him some more money, just like the second arrow he shot. In this way, either he would be able to get back all the money he owed to him, or else he would at least get back the money he would lend him this time. On listening to Bassanio's request, Antonio says that by talking about returning the money, it means that he has doubt on his friendship, which is even worse than if he had bankrupted him. He tells Bassanio to cut it short and come straight to the point. Bassanio now tells about the girl that they were talking about in the beginning. He tells him that there's a rich, beautiful girl in Belmont. She's a nice person as well, and he thinks that she likes him. Here, Bassanio makes a comparison between Portia, which is the name of that rich, beautiful lady, and Portia, the daughter of Cato and wife of Brutus in the famous drama written by William Shakespeare, that is Julius Caesar. So he says that this Portia of Belmont is no less in beauty than Portia, wife of Brutus. Further, he tells about her that men from all over the world come to try to marry her. Here he makes another comparison that the hair of Portia on her forehead is just like gold, calling adventurers from all over the world to Belmont like Gold Rush. Gold Rush, you must have been familiar with this term, which is a famous TV series in the Discovery Channel. Okay, so here he says that if he would have enough money, he was sure to win over her. On listening to Bassanio's request, Antonio says that presently he would not be able to lend him money because all his money is tied up in the cargoes which is still at the sea. But then Antonio says that he would go and find out a person, anyone in Venice, that would lend him credit in the name of Antonio. He assures him that he will send him to Belmont and win over her lady love. Now, on this point, the Act 1, Scene 1 ends. Now, so what happens next, we'll get to know in the next episode of this channel, that is Beauty of Language and Literature. Thank you so much.